always critical, but there are some things to be critical for. So I'm excited to get to James' opinions on this. But first of all, let's just talk about the main question it feels like everybody wants to do right now is what's the identity of the Denver Broncos, right? Like you go 0-2 to start the season. Now you're 2-2. 2 wins I don't think really anybody saw coming.
Yeah.
But it's like, what is the identity of this football team? And it seems like a really easy answer, but it's just the defense entirely, for my opinion.
Yeah, it's a defensive-minded football team.
Yes.
Right? So it's they're gonna be good on that side of the ball.
Yep.
Pretty much every week. Like even if you look at the opener in Seattle, they gave up 26 points, but they had the 2 safeties, they had the 2 turnovers that gave the offense the ball point blank range. Like they had a good day that day. It wasn't as good as they've been since with 13, 7, and 9.
Yeah.
But it's a defensive-minded football team that has to make just enough plays on offense to give themselves a chance and not make mistakes on offense.
Fair.
Like, so there's kind of a two prongs to that, but that's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it yesterday. They won a game they had no business winning.
Agreed.
No business winning. And they won it because their offense or their defense was great.
Mm-hmm.
They really were. I mean, they were great yesterday, but that doesn't dismiss. And you say I'm always critical. I'm not always critical.
You are critical. I don't think that's a bad thing, though.
I just have sounded bad.
It's not a bad thing. You just are critical. It wasn't a perfect game.
No,
so you can be critical.
Not by any means. And it's what I wrote about today at denversports.com. Like, to me, this season is all about getting the answer to 2 questions. One, and this is the big one, is Bo Nix the answer at quarterback?
Fair. Great
2,
question.
And it may only be me that has this question, but I think everybody should be asking it is Sean Payton still the same kind of coach he was back in the heyday of the Saints?
Okay.
Because he certainly wasn't last year. I mean, we've gone over his, the things he bungled over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the same guy or has he lost his fastball? With those 2 questions yesterday, we didn't get any answers. If we got answers, they were not good ones, right? Like Bo Nix was awful.
Yeah.
He was awful. And people say, it's the conditions, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't any better. Aaron Rodgers threw for 223. Like he was at least semi-competent.
Insane they didn't win.
Yeah, and it's,
insane.
He couldn't move around at all. Aaron Rodgers can't move. And it's not just scrambling and running for yards. It's just kind of the ability to slide in the pocket and buy that extra half second.
Yep.
He just can't do it. He didn't look like himself. But Bo Nix was not good. He was dreadful. And I tweeted it during the game. At some point, especially in the first half, when you can't even throw the ball, you're like shot putting it. You got to look at the other quarterbacks and say, does somebody else give us a better chance here?
James had a tweet that went out and said, give Jarrett Stidham an opportunity to see if he can throw in the rain.
It's essentially.
You cannot take out your rookie quarterback. If they were down by 40-something points, then sure, go for it.
Any other player, if they're that bad in the rain, they're putting in their backup to see if they're any better in the rain. They are. And I don't
know about that.
He threw for
Why did the Jets
yards.
do that?
Well, 1, they have Aaron freaking Rodgers, and 2, he threw for 223.
Well, the Broncos have Bo freaking Nix.
He didn't. He
let's
threw
go.
for 60 yards in the entire game.
I know.
It was literally like the
terrible?
ball was just sitting on his hand, and he was shot putting it. It was ridiculously bad.
Now, one good thing is they were able to figure out the run a little bit.
They were. Javonte looked great.
Amazing.
He looked good. People throw around great too much. I just did as well. He looked good.
He looked good. I would agree. He didn't look great, but he looked good.
Yeah.
But we didn't see as many Bo Nix yardage because luckily they were able to run the ball, which was great compared to weeks past. So there's one positive. So let's not hammer the stat of only 60 yards. Yes, it's very, very bad. I get that. But they were able to run the ball, which helped.
Yeah, that's a positive. But I don't my 2 questions were Bo Nix. The answers weren't good. And Sean Payton. Sean Payton was awful, right? He's in charge of 2 things yesterday. The offense, which was dreadful, and game management, which was even worse. Right?
The challenges were bad.
VJ's running the defense.
Yeah.
And so do you give Sean credit for, hey, he helped build the roster and he hired VJ and he didn't fire VJ? I don't want to keep going VJ. VJ after the debacle in Miami last year? Sure. But that was Vance. Vance's group was great yesterday.
Yep.
Everything Sean touched yesterday was awful. The 2 challenges were dreadful. Then they didn't have one at the end of the game when Aaron Rodgers clearly fumbled.
Yeah.
They didn't have one to challenge that, which could have been a big swing.
Yep.
I think the decision to kick a 50-yard field goal up 1 in the rain was a bad idea.
Agreed. I second that.
Just punt it, pin the Jets deep. Your defense is playing great.
Yep.
Make them go, 60 yards with no timeouts to try and get in field goal range. Instead, you give them the ball at the 40, they move it 27 yards. They're in field goal range, which they did. So it was just bad. And then he comes out and has the audacity to tell us in the press conference afterward that Bo Nix played well. You just lost all credibility with me, coach.
No.
Oh, I think he played well. On what scale?
I think, okay, so I kind of agree with Sean Payton on this one. Not because not because of the actual play, but because of how he handled it. Any rookie quarterback, James, could have gone out there and been like, the elements suck. I can't do anything. And like just absolutely pummeled everything in front of you. But
that's how low the bar is.
But he actually like played decently well.
If he doesn't literally take his ball and go home, we're giving him an A. That's what we're doing.
We're not giving him an A.
Well,
I didn't say he played great.
Played well.
Listen, there's great. Actually, okay, there's great. We'll give A great. Okay.
Okay.
B is good.
Which
C,
is well.
No, C is well.
No, C's fine.
No,
C's fine.
No, well and good are different.
I don't think so. Regardless, he was not mediocre yesterday. He was so subpar. So to try and sell me on the fact that he was mediocre is
But what do you want him to go out there and what do you want Sean to go out there and be like, well, he sucked?
I know, but you could say, listen, I think he battled through it and it was a tough day to play and the kid showed some grit. Like you can say some nice things without trying to tell me he played well. He didn't.
I think he managed the game well.
By what? Handing off?
That's managing it as a quarterback.
He didn't turn the ball over in the elements, which is okay.
Job well
positive, but we got to quit having this low bar. Like all I heard last year when the Broncos had their winning streak and it was, but
the difference is rookie quarterback, Super Bowl winner.
It doesn't matter. All I heard was, so it was like a Tebow game. Yesterday was a classic example of a Tebow game.
It was.
A 10-9 win.
Yeah.
You win on a missed field goal by the other team right at the the final moments. Like that was a Tebow win.
How do you feel that the rookie quarterback beat this New York Jets team that Russell Wilson couldn't do?
They'd be 4-0 with Russ. They'd have won yesterday with Russ. I mean, come on.
How many games do we see for 16 points?
I mean, he almost botched the touchdown throw. Cortland Sutton could not be more open, and he made it to where Court had to make a great catch.
It was a great catch
on a wide open blitz.
He is overthrowing receivers left and right. It feels like.
Do you feel like right now we're a quarter of the way through the season, roughly? 17th game throws off the math, but roughly. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like Bo Nix is the answer?
That's hard.
That's a no. That's a no. You don't know yet.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Correct. That is a fair statement. I do not know. I do like how he handles the pressure though, and how it never seems like he gives up, and how he's able to
just like Tebow
bounce back. Sure.
He's it hit me yesterday watching the game, like his build and the way he moves around. Like he's Tim Tebow.
Just based on his looks.
What's the best thing he's done through the first 4 games?
One of the best Bronco games we ever saw was what? The Tim Tebow.
Tebow to Demarius. Yes. I get it. But the best thing he's done in his first 4 games is run the football. Who's that sound like?
Tim Tebow.
Bo Nix is Tim Tebow.
Or Russell Wilson.
Bo Nix is Tim Tebow. And you know what they did with Tebow? Ran him out of town and brought in a quarterback.
I don't know. We'll see.
Through 4 games, I'm like, I don't think this guy's the answer. I don't. And then the other question of, is Sean Payton the answer? He's built a good culture.
Okay, so because
they got like 50 coaches and they can't figure out if they should challenge a play.
But that's totally on Sean Payton.
Fine.
But my question is, for all of the challenges that we do see, how much of that actually goes on Sean? Like, truthfully, because he doesn't really see it. I mean, yeah, you can watch the Jumbotron for an inch.
Who picks the guy that's in the booth making that decision?
True. You hired him.
It's Sean Payton.
I don't know. I always do.
They need a new guy.
Agreed. They've botched some serious
you're the head
challenges.
coach. You got to know, all right, we already lost the first challenge. If we lose this one, I don't have any more challenges the rest of the way. And if there's a game-changing play that happens, I'm going to be stuck.
Was it Court for the second challenge?
I think it was the one where the guy's knee was out of bounds on the catch.
Oh,
and it did look like that could probably go the other way.
Yeah.
But it has to be like just indisputable, and it wasn't. Yeah. It was like a borderline call. They're not going to overturn a borderline call, most likely.
Agreed. Yeah, it was bad. You definitely probably are looking at somebody else who can call your challenges, because it was bad. Because they should have been able to challenge the Aaron Rodgers one.
Their operations have been a mess. They against Pittsburgh,
they got the game ball. Didn't you hear?
Who did?
The operations team.
Oh my goodness.
They did. For everything they did in West
everything
Virginia.
is the Broncos are field day now. They're the little league mom keeping the scorebook. Oh, it's a ground ball to second. It goes through the guys. There's a base hit. That's what we're doing.
What's the home run then?
It's just, it should be an error. Little Johnny should be 0 for 1, but nope, he's 1 for 1. Base hit.
We'll take it.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
We're giving out blue ribbons to everybody.
Okay. Well, you last week told me Vance Joseph will probably be looked at for head coaching jobs.
Mhm.
And I have to admit, you are correct. If he can keep this up.
He is going to be on that short list of hot candidates.
How do you, if you're a different team, how do you combat the Broncos defense right now?
That's a good question. They're so good up front and their ability to stop the. I mean, the key to the game was that Breece Hall didn't really get going.
Yep.
They were really good up front against the run.
Yeah.
And and now they're mixing in some blitzes. Right, first play of the game, it's Justin Cernad with the sack. It's the PJ Locke sack that everybody thought clinched the game on 4th and 10. By the way, as bad as Sean Payton was, Robert Saleh's decision to go for it on 4th and 10 and not punt when you have 3 timeouts. The Broncos hadn't done anything on offense.
Yep.
You're going to pin them deep.
Yep.
You rely on your defense. You call 3 timeouts. You get the ball back at midfield on a punt in the elements with a minute 30 left.
Yeah.
Like just 4th and 10 in the rain.
Did you see the Aaron Rodgers I don't want to say going after Robert Saleh, but Robert Saleh made a comment about the cadence from Aaron Rodgers. Did you see that clip?
I did not.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Rodgers was not happy about that. He was like, how about we hold the offensive line accountable for the false starts? And I was like, oof, a little tough right there.
It's checking your teammates under the bus.
Yeah,
too.
it is.
That situation
like an Aaron Rodgers
feels
thing.
like it's not going to work to me.
No, I agree.
I don't think the Jets are any good. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is near what he used to be.
I think Rodgers wants Nathaniel Hackett to be the head coach, which would be terrible. Terrible decision. But then all of a sudden, it's Aaron Rodgers in charge of everything. It would be the exact same thing as Russell Wilson with Nathaniel Hackett here.
Probably, because I don't think Aaron Rodgers is what he used to be.
Nope.
I'm not. After watching that game, I'm not sad the Aaron Rodgers trade didn't go through. Now it would have avoided the Russell Wilson debacle and all the rest of that. But for all we know, they would have given up the same amount of stuff for Rodgers.
I think his injury probably played a huge thing.
Probably. And when you sit out and don't play for a year, especially at that age, like that's really hard to come back from. But I don't have any, regret over the Aaron Rodgers thing not
totally
going
with
down.
You.
Plus all the other stuff. He's just, he's just a nightmare. He's a headache.
Since Super Bowl 50, what's the biggest regret you have for this Denver Broncos team?
Not drafting Josh Allen.
Oh, I should have thought of that one. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Okay, what were you thinking?
Besides that, honestly, I was curious, but that's
let me run through it. So here was the last 4 head coaches I wanted him to hire.
Yeah.
It was hire Kyle Shanahan. They hire VJ. Yep. It was hire Matt LaFleur. They hire Vic. It was hire Kevin O'Connell. Yep. They hire Hackett. It was hire Jim Harbaugh or DeMeco Ryans. They hire Sean Payton. Hey, Greg Penner, call me next time you're hiring a coach.
Please, who's the best one right now? Kyle Shanahan?
Probably. I mean, he's been to multiple Super Bowls. Like that one was so easy.
That was a gimme.
It made so much sense.
Silver platter.
I think all of them are doing a really good job. Kevin O'Connell's doing a great job. What he's done with Sam Darnold.
Yep.
That's been very, very impressive.
And you stepped away from Kirk Cousins, so like everyone was like, "Ooh, we're moving away from the QB," and yeah, they look really good. I
mean, any of the 4 would have been a home run hire.
Yeah.
And a lot of the mess we've seen the last, nearly decade would not have occurred. So
for you, it's coaching.
All the coaching hires, I think, have been a regret. All of them.
Trying to think. Yeah.
Now the VJ one, he was probably too early in his career and they didn't give him any power and the front office kept undermining him.
Yeah.
That's why that didn't work. Vic was a disaster.
All around.
Just a terrible hire.
Agreed.
He lost out in a coaching search to Jim Tom Zula.
Yeah.
When he's in San Francisco. That tells you all you need to know.
Yep.
Hackett was done simply because they thought they could get Rodgers with that. That's a bad reason to make the decision. And Payton was a panic hire. It was our first 2 choices turned us down. We got to make a splash.
I do believe that.
We got, a checkbook that we can, write whatever we want. Let's go bring in the high price guy. Okay.
So what do you need to see from Sean Payton for you to say, you know what? They got the right guy.
I need to see his offense look like, hey, it's a competent. No, not competent. You're an offensive minded head coach. Your offense should be good week in and week out. You need to be averaging 25 points a game if you're an offensive minded head coach.
Just the game plan, not the execution. What did you like and dislike about it yesterday?
I liked that they were committed to the run.
Okay.
I mean, we saw that on Saturday with the Buffs. Their ability to run the football is why they scored 48 points.
Yeah.
If they can run the ball, they're unstoppable. So the Broncos, committed to the run, stuck with it. I liked that. It's hard to judge because the game plan went out the window as soon as the weather got like that.
Yeah, true.
Like, I don't know that was their plan going in.
Mm-hmm.
So from a plan standpoint, it's just hard to evaluate it. I did like that. What I didn't like, I mean, geez, there's innumerable things I didn't like, but they couldn't execute any of it because of the quarterback
Well,
and
that's
his
the
inability
hard
to
thing.
hold the football.
It's the hard thing is like we were looking at this, but it's the execution that's failing clearly. But it's like, well, what's the game plan and where's the miscommunication on that front? Also, we got to give it to the offensive line. Mike McFlinchy leaves for 2 games and boom, they look great.
I know.
McFlinchy.
Addition by subtraction sometimes.
Interesting.
But yeah, and so you do have to take yesterday with a giant caveat, right? Of like, look, they escaped with a win. They survived. I don't know that the Broncos won. I think the Jets lost.
Okay.
Right? Like,
I mean, technically, if whatchamacallit would have missed the field or would have made the field goal. What is it, Zerline?
Greg Zerline. So it's the same field goal Will Lutz missed, but let's say he makes that kick and now they're 1-3. What is the conversation today? What is the narrative? It's Sean Payton's decisions and it's Bo Nix's inability to do anything in the rain. Okay, just because they won the game, just because the kick went wide right, to me doesn't mean we shouldn't have those same 2 conversations.
And I agree.
Right? You mask problems with a win. That's a very dangerous
place to
go
be.
Down.
Okay, well, they take on the Raiders this week.
Look,
can they win?
Yeah, they can beat the Raiders.
Okay.
I think they can beat the Chargers.
Can they?
If they win both those games, then all of a sudden, and I said this, I filled in for Stoke on Monday, then I was on a couple days with Josh Dover last week, and it was like, hey, it's a tipping point game for the Broncos. If they win this game, we're gonna be talking about, hey, is this a playoff team? They won it, but the way they won it
makes you question.
I think it's premature to say, is this a playoff team? But you beat the Raiders and you're 3-2. Okay, now that topic comes up.
It feels like every single week we're talking about, is this a fluke game? Is this a fluke game? Was this a fluke game? When in fact, the defense is just keeping them in it the entire time. So it's like, okay, well, we're not seeing fluke games entirely because this is who this Denver Broncos defense is.
Yep.
But it does feel like that every single week. It was like, oh, did Tampa just, were they exhausted from their win against Detroit? Was Aaron Rodgers just couldn't deal with the weather? Like all of this. It does feel like it's a fluke game every single time. We have to have a win that we're like, this is who this Denver Broncos team is.
Yeah, and I think the Tampa one was closest to it. Like, if you want to find a formula for how this team can win on a weekly basis and not have it be weather related or whatever, like that's it.
Yeah.
But do I think Tampa overlooked them? Yeah. Look how they played yesterday against Philly. Look how they played the week before against Detroit.
Yeah.
Hey, but Broncos showed up and played. They played really well that day. So don't take anything away from them. But that's their formula. I don't know that they can do it consistently because of the guy that's calling the signals. I mean, look, I'm not saying Bo Nix is going to be a bust, but if we're just being fair, if we're just being honest, after 4 games, he's thrown for 660 yards.
Yep.
I compare him, if we were in Washington doing this show.
Jane Daniels looks incredible.
Right?
But also you then look at Caleb Williams. He's still struggling.
Fine. But if you're in Chicago, you'd be asking questions. Be saying, hey, did we get the right guy? No. Right? If you're in New England, their guy can't even get off the bench. So every place else they're asking questions other than Washington, we should be asking the same questions.
Jaden Daniels does look really good.
Oh, he looks phenomenal. He looks like a generational player.
I know.
Right? So if you draft a guy that high, which if you're in the top 12 and you're a quarterback, to me, you're drafting him that high, you got to be a generational player. You got to be the quarterback for a decade.
Yep.
Do we know right now Bo Nix is the quarterback for a decade?
No, but I do think you'll have an idea after this season. And I think that's only fair.
Okay, how about this? Because I think it's too early to say, no, he's not. I'm not saying he's not. Yeah. I just say right now I have a lot of question marks. After the next 2 games, you're 2-2. You play at home against the Raiders and the Chargers. 2 division games, 2 very winnable games. You could get yourself to 4-2. You're right in that mix if you get to 4-2.
Yeah.
We'll know after the next 2 weeks. Weather's not going to be a factor. It's beautiful this time of year in Colorado.
Actually, it's too hot this time of the year in Colorado right now.
It's going to be prime time.
Yeah.
The crowd's going to be into it. Hey, the Broncos have won 2 in a row.
Yep.
Keep the momentum going. We'll know in 2 weeks.
I'm ready for 75, not 90 degrees here in the Mile High
know.
City.
I love the mornings. The mornings right now are perfect.
They are perfect. I totally agree with you. I can't believe it's October tomorrow. But I will say the one
Birthday
reason
month.
why I
Just
feel
wanted
like
to work that. It's my birthday month. Starts tomorrow.
oh, it's my
Just
wedding
wanted to
month
work that.
starts tomorrow.
Always got a one up. Always got a one up.
Listen, you get the final day of the month. I'll get the early time. We'll be good.
I'll
be back
I have
for
a
your
birthday
birthday
every year. You don't have the wedding every year. Hopefully,
Yeah.
that'd be bad.
That'd
So
be a little
okay,
rough.
you win.
My one thing on Bo Nix, though, here's why I say I don't know. One reason. The first 2 weeks, yes, they struggled, but how many dropped passes did we see where it was like chemistry is not it? So I felt like I couldn't put the blame on Bo Nix. It was like, what are we doing, Cortland? Why are we dropping all these passes? These past 2 weeks, it feels like he's overthrowing and like overcorrecting just a smidge.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I'm in that fine line. So I think I agree with you that the next 2 weeks to see where we're able to connect and who's doing what and where will definitely be telling.
Yeah, I think it's he's had the 4 games to kind of get his feet wet.
Yep.
To some extent he's not a rookie anymore, right? Like there's some point in the season, your first year, where it's like you're not a rookie anymore. You've played 4 games, like let's go. You're at home.
4 games to not call it a rookie.
You're not on the road. It's not a hostile environment. You're at home.
We need to go back to
I wanna see something.
I'll give you week 8. You could be like, you're not a rookie anymore.
Okay.
4
well,
weeks?
he's less of a rookie right now than he was Seattle.
Well, I would hope so.
Okay.
He's got a few weeks underneath his belt.
I just want to see something.
Okay.
Other than running around, other than one run he had in Tampa, what have we seen that we're like, ooh, that was special? That was something Jarrett Stidham couldn't have done. What? Other than that one run?
Well, it's funny because I'm like, well, the preseason, he looked great, but you're not seeing good football in the preseason. He's had a few daggers. Let's give him a little bit of credit.
Daggers?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We really need to raise the bar.
But also,
like,
is it Sean Payton's game plan or is it him?
Peyton Manning.
The fact that we're throwing behind the line of scrimmage, it felt like half the game the first 2 weeks was stupid.
Which was the big concern
but
when they drafted him.
But why is that on Bo Nix?
It's because it was the concern when they drafted him. That's what most of his completions were at Oregon. And Sean told us, oh no, when you subtract those, he's still this. Like, he just made up a stat to try and justify it. So I just am not.
You know what? The next 2 weeks.
I'm not encouraged. I'm not.
The next 2 weeks will tell us a lot about Bo Nix and who.
Change my tune.
Okay. Well, we will see.
I'll be in here with Dante and Richie just ranting and raving about it.
Do it. I'll be tuning in.
It'll be fun.
It'll be like, what time is it? It'll be like midnight for me, but I'll tune in every once in a while. I'll probably be awake.
Different kind of coffee break.
Yeah, exactly. Espresso. All right. Anyways, Merilatt Monday. I am out for the next couple of weeks. I am in fact getting married, headed on my honeymoon. We'll still be tuning in for the Bronco games. I'm already prepared.
No Buffs talk?
Oh, okay, fine. Real quick. Also, we got to talk about a legend who unfortunately passed away. Do you have any memories
of Dikembe?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, gosh, first of all, his rookie year, he's a center out of Georgetown, and he's playing in Paul Westhead's offense, which was just run up and down the floor. They were trying to score 150 points a game.
Yep.
And he put up huge numbers. One of the best defensive centers of all time.
Yeah.
Wagging the finger when he would get the block shot. One of the greatest moments in Nuggets history prior to them winning the title, it might have been the greatest moment, was Game 5, winning on the road, becoming the first 8 to ever beat a 1 up in Seattle. And him laying on the ground with the basketball, just, the pure elation from that. I
don't know if I've ever seen that.
Oh my gosh. That's something to go back and YouTube and watch today. Just a great moment. He was the key to that team. An amazing humanitarian, great man off the court too. I also remember it because his name is Dikembe Mutombo, but it's like, he actually has like 7 names. So you could buy these T-shirts at like King Supers and stuff like that. Yeah. There was Dikembe Mutombo, Palumbo, Jean-Jacques Mutombo, or whatever his full name was. That was cool. He was just a great player on a team that prior to that had been struggling for a while, and kind of helped put him back on the map. So yeah, man, that news hit me.
He's that franchise-changing player.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately he left as a free agent, and they got nothing for him. One of the all-time front office blunders for the Nuggets to not get that deal done and to keep Dikembe. But that was sad news to hear.
Yeah, passed away from brain cancer, was announced today. So obviously we pass along our condolences to his entire family and to the Denver Nuggets fan base. Like you said, it hit you really hard. Like I'm sure for a lot of other people as well.
He's a all-time icon in Denver sports.
Yeah.
For a long time down I-25 toward downtown, there was the mural painted up there, and it was an athlete from each of the 4 major teams. And it was John. It was I think that was probably Big Cat that was on there.
Sakic?
It was Sakic, and then it was Dikembe.
Yeah.
He was that guy. So if you want to go over the last 30 years, it's Jokic, it's Carmelo, it's Dikembe.
Yep.
He's also, you're granted, he's got this unique name, but he was a one-name star.
Yeah.
You said Dikembe, everybody knew who you were talking about.
Yep.
And one of the biggest stars in the history of this city when it comes to sports.
Yeah, I know. But such a bummer. And so young too. That's why I think it's really heartbreaking.
That's way too young.
Okay, real quick, I'll give your Buffs a shout out.
That was the best the Buffs had played since 2001. That's the best performance in 23 years. They look like a legit team in that game.
That could win.
So much speed, physicality, flying around. If they play like that, and they were fast, they were physical, and they were focused, they were great. They were.
Do you feel like
you're
on a roller coaster with this Buffs team?
Totally. 2 weeks ago, I was out. 3 weeks ago, I was out. I'm like, no, I'm done.
Are they just playing to their level of their opponent, or is it just the disrespect is starting to grow and now they're like, all right, let's do this?
They were a 2-touchdown underdog and won by 27. Like, Vegas isn't off by 41 points very often.
Did you see all the Cam Newton stuff?
I did. And look, I'm kind of tired of that. I'm tired of the, taking offense to everything.
But do you think it was like joke, or do you think they were actually like, no, screw you? I've heard 50-50.
If you made me guess, I would say B.
Okay.
Because they take offense to everything. Travis Hunter came out with this t-shirt that said bland because Richard Sherman called him bland. It's like, just let one thing roll off your back. Like, don't have rabbit ears for everything.
Yeah.
But they're playing great. They have a bye this coming week. And then in 2 weeks, if they beat K-State in here, and that's a tall order, that is one of the biggest home games in a long, long time. If they win that game, they're a ranked team, probably a top 20 team. And we're talking about, hey, what do the Buffs have to do to make the playoff?
Yeah.
That's crazy, considering 3 weeks ago, we were all like, Prime needs to go. I'm out on this team. It was that impressive what they did down in Orlando. That was a great showing.
And with the weather and everything they were battling.
Weather? You're able to throw in the weather?
Crazy.
Weird.
Interesting. Weird. All right. Well, Buffs will give their roses to today. James Merilatt, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Merilatt Monday. Dante Gomez, Richie Carney will be in this chair, sitting down, talking everything you guys need to know for sports too for the next few weeks. And I will see you guys when we get back. Have a wonderful Monday, everybody. Bye.